Welcome to Manga Machinations! This is episode number 467, and this week we're doing a triple dip. I'm Dakazu, and with me is Darfox8.
Hello, everybody.
And Morgana Santilli.
Hi there.
Hello, everybody. Seamus is not here. He sent me a message and was like, I will be out because I have not a lot of things to say about these three manga for the triple dip.
As he does sometimes.
As he does. But yeah, for our main segment, we will be doing a triple dip, which means we're looking at the first volume of three different series. But yeah, before we get to that, I'm sorry, my brain is like frazzled from. I was working yesterday and also this morning, so my brain power is minimal. Darfox, you're gonna have to pull us on this episode.
Well, my brain power is minimal too. Just
Oh, man.
regular.
I can't ask Morgana. Morgana has mommy brain.
I'm also exhausted, yeah.
Where is Seamus? Damn it.
Hey, miss, we need you.
We're all fried here.
Yeah, it's okay. We're getting to the end of the year. We get the second win during spooky season, which is about to start, and then we just get hungry and drowsy during November, and then it's Christmas vibes, and then it's in the end of the year. Pretty much
It's
over.
some wild stuff, yeah. Before we get started, let's talk about our Manga Machinations coffee, because I keep forgetting to bring it up at the beginning. You can support this podcast, which is essentially a book club podcast for manga. And Darfox is there on screen. You can buy us a coffee to support us. Head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac, which is our coffee page. And we have our people who have donated and bought us coffee so we can buy our manga for this podcast. So thanks again to Deluid, Vicky Dalton, Mia, Dr. Meltface, Wyatt, Poor Mexican 72, Philip, Liquidus 002, and Extine. Thank you all so much.
Very, very generous. Thank you.
Oh, while we are doing introductions, we should all wish Darfox a happy birthday. It was his birthday this week.
Oh, yeah.
Happy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was earlier this week, Thursday. Fine.
Yep.
Just got
Darfox for Darfox's birthday, he worked hard so he could put out a video.
Yeah, it was kind of I was kind of just like working on the video. I am meeting a few friends tomorrow, which is Sunday. We're recording right now on Saturday. In case you're not watching live on youtube.com/mangamactv. And you could barely see. So basically, there's a group of friends and coworkers that all have birthdays in September. There's like there's like 6 of us. So we did it last year and we're doing it again this year. We have kind of like a lunch near or after all the birthdays have passed. And last year I was kind of blindsided by it. I was like, oh yeah, it's nice. I'll go to have lunch with y'all. And then they gave me a bunch of gifts, and they were exchanging gifts, and I didn't. I didn't get anybody anything. It was like a nightmare. So this year you could barely see it, like right behind me on top of like that cardboard box of Lowe's. You could see some trash back there. That's the gifts I have bought this time.
Ooh, trash gifts.
Oh,
Yeah.
I heard about some of these. Nice.
Yeah, so I was thinking about gifts. I was researching. I was asking Amber, because Amber is like the connective tissue between all these friends. She knows everybody. So I've been asking Amber, is like, oh, what is this person into? What is this person like? So I've been using that to like kind of come up with a couple gifts. Some of the gifts are a little bit goofy and ironic, but all useful, and I think they'll all enjoy it.
I have learned that September is actually the most popular month to be born in. Everybody's parents getting busy at Christmas, I guess.
Makes sense. Just like a bunch of as if we were Japan or something.
I should also mention, Darfox, that you put up that Blood on the Tracks review with Amber. It's very nice, very long.
Yes, it was just an hour long. You
Just.
Mister throwing shade when we've done like 2 hour long videos. um, this is kind of one of our more in depth discussions because Blood on the Tracks is a lot. There's a lot to talk about. It's sometimes it's kind of problematic. There's a lot of different ways you can read Blood on the Tracks. But it's a really interesting and like really textured book. So we talked pretty in depth about it, and I like our conversation. I think it's one of my favorite conversations I've had with Amber. And yeah, we recorded in February this year, so I finally managed to put it up. A lot of things have happened since February. But one of the things is that I have a new editing software and a new computer, so I was able to do some fun little edits for the intro that I really really enjoyed. I also put that intro up on um our Instagram, kind of like a trailer for the video. So if you've seen it on Instagram, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's a really I really appreciate anybody who watches the video, uh gives any feedback or likes and shares all that stuff. All the YouTubers always say like and subscribe and all that stuff, but like it really does make a huge difference as far as just like the reach the video makes, but also just like it makes me feel good because people are watching the video and pressing buttons. So yes, please consider going out there and doing that.
Give Darfox more dopamine.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, the rest of us. I mean, I'd be pretty excited if it did well.
I also want to remind our listeners that we record this podcast live on our YouTube channel. And we have some people in the chat, Tyler and Chris from Canada. We're always recording around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays. You want to come join? So today we are starting a little late.
Today we're a little late, and also just like I'm getting ahead of myself with this, but just a heads up that October our schedule is going to be a little bit spotty, including I will miss at least 1 week, so we may not stream every single week coming up, but we will try to stream every single week we are able to.
Yes. Okay, and because we are starting late, we're going to skip email this week as well. So sorry to Tyler, because there's kind of a backlog of some emails now. But we'll get to them eventually. Keep sending them over to mangamachinations@gmail.com.
Have you seen that meme of I don't know what anime it is, but it's like a police girl, and she's like, and then she kind of like, I think she says "go men," but she kind of puts her hands on her head as if she's like patting her head, and then she sticks her tongue out. It's like a really like weird and cute thing.
Is her tongue out like tehe?
Yeah, it's like a meme where people have used it for like imagine a real life cop reacting this way to like the terrible shit they do in real life, like shooting people. Um, and it's like, why did my brain go to this? So, were we talking about apologizing? Were we talking?
Yes.
Okay, that's why. Well, that's my brain. My brain went there.
So you guys are really tired.
Yeah, no, I promise I am.
We're
tired.
all so tired.
If you're watching the, actually my eyes might be a little red because I tried to sleep literally like a few minutes before.
Darfox, grab a Red Bull. Grab that
No.
can of.
No, I don't. I'm trying to avoid caffeine as much as I can, especially like fucking energy drinks. I've been drinking a lot of Sprite. I used to drink Diet Coke, but now I'm currently a Sprite man. But I like Sprite anyway, so that's good. Just got to deal with natural high.
Sprite, not Starry?
I was gonna ask.
I've tried Starry before. It's okay. I don't know if it's caffeine free like Sprite. I haven't looked into that.
I only bring up Starry because I think it's a dumb rebranding name for Sierra Mist. But again, Sierra Mist is also like, what?
Yeah, Sierra Mist was always a weird name, but whatever. No, now that Sheamus isn't here, is this a moment to talk shit about CM Punk? Say CM Punk was.
I mean, we already started late, and I said we're gonna move along.
He's a big crybaby. He's a big crybaby. He's a unprofessional, egotist. Okay, I'm sorry. You go on.
Let's move along to a little what you've been reading. Okay, I'm going to start what you've been reading for a change.
Whoa.
It's because I do not want to forget. Okay, so the thing is, we have a Tumblr, and I know Tyler in chat sometimes like, I don't know anyone who uses Tumblr. We actually get people on our Tumblr, and we got a question on our Tumblr. I got a question from Exotic Flip Flop, who said, I would like to suggest the manga Crazy Food Truck. Hopefully one of you have not reviewed. I'm enjoying it greatly. Would like to hear others' opinions. Either way, great show and keep up the good work. So thank you for that, Exotic Flip Flop. I replied to their message and told them that we will probably not review that manga here on this podcast because it's really not for us. Especially Seamus would just be like, no. And I promised them I'd bring them up on episode 466. Well, it's already episode 467. I forgot last week. Did I say the episode number at the beginning of this podcast? I don't even know if I did.
I don't think so.
Probably
I didn't. Jesus, I'm really out of it.
We should have just leaned in and done a full drunk cast.
You know, I did just finish a beer.
Hell yeah.
Oh, Morgana able to go back on the alcohol.
I can't drink too much because I am still breastfeeding. But I can enjoy an occasional drink.
Well, yeah, there's a manga called Crazy Food Truck. The English edition is put out by Viz. It's a manga by Rokuro Ogaki. It originally ran in it was Monthly Comic Bunch. Shinchosha. It's the publisher. I just linked Dark Fox and Morgana to the sample pages on Bookwalker for the Japanese edition. So the general premise is there's a middle-aged guy who's running a food truck out in the desert nowhere. And you can tell this is like a little bit of a post-apocalyptic setting. There's sand everywhere where there used to be like regular roads and ocean. And he's just trying to like run his food truck. And he meets a girl inside of like I would say like a sleeping bag who's naked. And this girl doesn't have any memory and she eats a lot. So this man running the food truck doesn't have like a customer, but then he finds this girl who eats and she has some kind of mysterious background. And she's basically has superpowers. She's like super strong and can run super fast. But she doesn't talk about her background at all. And so it's like this pairing of these two people. And she's being pursued by the military organization. And turns out this man is also being pursued by the military for some reason, and his food truck has a cannon on it. So it's kind of like this wacky, like, story about mixing food and battling post-apocalyptic setting. It's similar to, like, Toriko, which is a Shonen Jump manga series.
Oh.
I know Wyatt has, like, bought a volume of this manga, so...
This girl is naked.
She's very naked. There's a lot of
Indeed.
TNA.
It's really interesting, like looking at these pages for some reason, this really strikes me as the kind of thing that would have been made like in the late 90s or early 2000s. Like, I could picture myself watching an anime of this on Adult Swim at 2 in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, I think from what it sounds like, it gets a little bit more battle heavy, but it just feels like, I don't know, like weird, like Trigun, Outlaw Star.
Yeah,
like
kind of, Morgana. Like they need to look for ingredients because the girl eats everything, so they go fishing for like sand squids. And they're like, oh, the squid adapted to the like because the ocean's dried up and now it's all just sand. But if it's a post-apocalyptic setting and there's like ex-military who have become bandits and are attacking a town, and these two roll in and have to save it, and Gordon, like the man who runs it, isn't interested, but it's a town that makes beer, and he's like, beer, now I'm interested. I don't know, it's I think this manga is pretty mediocre. Like, I feel like it's trying to combine a lot of things that are supposed to be like interesting in concept, but they're all pretty paper thin. Like the characterization of like the mysterious girl who's like always wants to be naked, and she might be some kind of military experiment. It's like you can kind of see where that's going, and it doesn't like betray your expectations or what you would come to expect from like a character like that.
I mentioned Outlaw Star, kind of reminds me of Melfina. I don't know how familiar you guys are.
Yeah, and there are also ideas that you've seen before, you know,
Right,
just like
yeah.
kind of like thrown together. And this series is only 3 volumes long, 16 chapters total, and I suspect it did not sell well. It did not do well. So I was very surprised that like Viz actually decided to bring it over. Maybe they figured it was like easier to sell here in the West. I think it is pretty popular here for like English readers. Obviously, we're getting a question on Tumblr about it, so I'm glad it's getting some success here. But like, it's like I said, it's only 3 volumes, so it doesn't even go anywhere. It just kind of ends, and like no real big surprises about the ending too. Though I will mention one thing that I do not like. Darfox, Morgana, you have these 2 characters. Middle-aged man who has like a mysterious past and knows how to shoot guns and has a giant cannon on his food truck. And naked girl. What do you think is going to happen?
He's gonna be a really caring father figure for a naked girl, and they're gonna make a surrogate family, and they're gonna go through life protecting each other.
That's what I
Goatish,
wanted to
right?
happen.
Yeah.
I don't need to say it. So, and the thing about that, like, that thing that I am, like, suggesting at happens, like, at the very end of the story. So I wonder if, like, they're just like, fuck it, let's just go there at the end because we're getting canceled or something. Or it was eventually supposed to go there. I don't know. Either way, it feels kind of gross. So, yeah, I personally, like, I thought this manga is okay. It's drawn fine. The art is fine. But, like, the premise and the characters aren't, like, terribly interesting to me. And so it's not a manga I would ever bring to this podcast. To be like, Darfox, when I like that. Yeah, I don't suspect anybody else here on our podcast would find anything besides, like, general, like, thoughts about this. Like, kind of be like, it's alright. So I'm sorry, Exotic Flip Flop, if you wanted other opinions about, you know, glowing reviews for this, but it's just not a manga for me. I don't think it's a manga for a podcast, so sorry.
I don't think Exotic Flip Flop needs your approval. I think that they were just trying to share something that they liked. Exotic Flip Flop is a very advanced connoisseur of manga.
Well, I appreciate them like writing into our Tumblr and like suggesting something, so I want to thank them for that for sure. And I did want to bring it up because they asked.
I've been trying to picture what would literally an exotic flip flop be, and I can't picture anything.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing like Aviana's, like just regular, like flip flops, rubber ones.
All right, I have another manga I want to talk about, which is super fascinating, and I need to discuss this with you all. This is a manga, a new manga from Uoto. Uoto is the manga artist who did the manga about the movement of the Earth.
Oh yeah.
The heliocentrism,
Heliocentrism,
yeah, the birth of heliocentrism in Europe. That manga is coming out from Seven Seas, and we're totally gonna read it on this podcast because I want James's take.
It's so wild that it's getting released in English.
Just wait till you hear about this new manga that Uoto is doing. It's called Yokoso Fact E. Or like, welcome to Fact. Tokyo S District second. Oh, I should look this up. Second branch. Okay, that was the word I was looking for. Dar, obviously you cannot be showing some of the pages here at the very beginning of this manga. Because this opens with like a man crying while looking at a pizza, and he has guns and people are dead.
Am I looking at the right manga?
Oh, did I?
Yeah, I don't think this is that.
I was like, oh, what's going on with these boxes?
Oh, I sent you. Okay. It's because I sent you the newest chapter for the first link. Sorry. That's why.
Okay, I'll open it with this innocuous picture.
Oh.
Morgana Darfox. The theme of this manga, as far as I can tell, is about incels and conspiracy theories.
Wonderful.
The manga stars a young man named Watanabe, who was once told in 4th grade that he had the best logic tree. In fact, it's like framed up on his wall in his apartment. He works a simple job of moving frozen meat into containers. And he is I don't know how to. Yeah, he's an incel. He is an incel. He is wrapped up. He gets wrapped up in a group called Chosen, which is clearly a Ponzi scheme. But they've convinced him that, like, if he needs to escape his mundane life, he needs to find love. And then, invite members to join the Chosen so he can join the exclusive members lounge. Like, it's a fucking Ponzi scheme. It's ridiculous. He actually gets some signatures, and then somebody else steals them from him. Like, dupes him into giving them to him so he can turn them in himself. And then says, like, you learned a life lesson that, you're not cut out for this. And you should go back to, like, your mundane life. But he ends up meeting a girl at the end of this first chapter who saves him from a random dude that's throwing up. And then, like, he always, like, throughout the manga, he makes the logic trees of, like, this means this. So this young woman he meets is Iyama, and there's a box that says Iyama, points to, nice, points to, likes me?
Oh, buddy.
like as far as I can tell, this is a romantic comedy, and I mean like comedy as in like everything here is serious, but we're looking at a man who is so out of touch with everything. And it doesn't even get to the conspiracy theory part until like a couple chapters in. But it's very clear that the woman Watanabe meets is someone who's just wants to be an activist and like try and, you know, help people. And her father is like she brings Watanabe to beat her father, and the father is like, "What do you think about Watanabe? What do you think about affirmative action?" And Watanabe doesn't know what the fuck that is, so he starts making bullshit up on the spot.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
I mean, eventually, like, and then like he spies on like the woman who's like very friendly with another man. And he's like, he sees her touch like the man's shoulder, and she's like, what could possibly be happening? Could she possibly like him? But then an X goes over that box. Is like, no, there's no way. She likes me. It's cringe. It's cringe and ridiculousness. But then it's also like, it's kind of terrifying because eventually Watanabe meets a man who is like, he finds this man's apartment because he replied to the woman's like Twitter account is has an activist group, and he made a really weird reply, so he gets in contact with them. And this man is like, "Good job coming here. You've taken your first step to truly living." And then this man starts talking about the deep state and the control of the conspiracies. Watanabe ends up going to a meeting with these people, and he's mentioning all these things about like there's this girl that this woman Inuma likes or like is friendly with, and I wonder if he's in some kind of weird thing. And the people there are like, well, how did you get to know this woman? And like he explains, oh, there was a man who almost threw up on me, and then she saved me. And then the people are like, a crisis actor.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I guess this stuff is prevalent in Japan as well.
Possibly. I can't help but feel like if they're bringing up affirmative action and crisis actors, like it is clearly like referencing things that are happening here in the States. And this man, Watanabe, is such an incel. Like, the way he thinks and the way he reacts to something. Thinking that this woman, like, likes him as well. Just because she's being friendly with him. It's, like, what do you even say about a manga like this? Like,
I'll say
cringe comedy?
Yeah, I'll say there can be a really funny, interesting manga about this. But it's also kind of dangerous. It's definitely like flirting with something that's like really not funny and really just like one of the worst shit that's happening in our society with like young people fucking falling prey to essentially Ponzi schemes and falling into these like codes about you know freaking
Conspiracy theories,
conspiracy theories that
misogyny,
assuade
yeah.
their insecurities and make them more and more misogynist and eventually more and more dangerous. So it's interesting. It's like it's dodgy. Like it's a really, I don't know if brave is the right word, but it's interesting. I'd be interested to read it myself to see like if the author is portraying any strong opinions or ideas through this, or if he's just like using these things as like you know cheap jokes, cheap gags.
I guess that's also my reservations about this. Sorry, Morgana, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, if this is definitely pointing to an issue that is uniquely American or more prevalently American, like, does the heavy aspect of it really occur to the author or his audience. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean to state that he or his audience are like stupid or unaware, but it's just culturally very different when it's happening. You know, it's happening here, not there. So
I guess it depends on where this story goes. Are we gonna follow Watanabe's fall into like these conspiracies? And is it gonna show him as like a villain? It already paints him as kind of an idiot who's like head up in the clouds and like not really thinking rationally. Or is it gonna make him sympathetic? Like, it all depends on that kind of thing.
Or is it going to be like, essentially, is it going to be like prison school, but instead of like these dumbasses who are helplessly horny and moronic, is this guy just helplessly like love lost? He's helpless. Like he just, no matter what's going to happen, no matter what hints he gets, no matter what ideas um he could have had, he continues to kind of go down this road of delusion, you know, and that's the joke, right? In the same way how in prison school the joke is that these guys are fucking morons and they're never going to do the right thing, right?
I mean, the descriptor on this, because this runs on Urasunday's website, the descriptor for this is a near future romantic comedy. Love comedy story, yeah.
Sounds bleak.
Oh my god, Chris from Canada doesn't know what a crisis actor is.
It's
Who
like,
wants to tackle this one?
well, it's like supposed red flag operations, or sorry, false flag operations. Like when there's this is heavy subject matter, but I'll be brief. When there's a school shooting or something like that, and people claim that it's created by the government so that the public opinion can turn against guns, so they could take the guns away from the people, so the people can uprise against the government. And the people who got shot and killed during this shooting weren't real; they're just actors. They're all crisis actors. There's a whole network of these crisis actors, and there's always people spreading screenshots around uh of like actors, like, look, this is the actor that supposedly died, and here they are in this commercial over here, and they're trying to connect all these like false connections and stuff like that. It's really it you know, wrong-headed conspiracy theory. It's just it's a very common thing in America about school shootings specifically, and kind of like shooting stuff. I don't know how common it is in other places of the world, like Japan. I'm sure. I mean, it's kind of like the false flag operation is kind of like a famous thing. So I'm sure there's some of it in other countries, but it's very like, I guess you could say it's a popular conspiracy theory in America.
I just realized something about the opening of this first chapter in this manga. There's a man in a pizza shop with a gun and a bunch of dead people. Is this Pizzagate?
It might be. Did they ever explain what the guy was?
No.
Okay.
It's just in English he says, "Fuck, this is insane," as he's crying and it's
God.
surrounded by dead people. So
yeah, that's a.
I don't know, Walter. This seems like
that's really
you're flirting
loaded
with
stuff
some...
to play with. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very interesting, to say the least, for like a topic for your manga.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. Like I said, I kind of want to read it. Out of curiosity, and you know, see if there's anything being said by it. But it sounds like there might not be anything being said about it. It's just kind of.
I mean, it's still very early. 7 chapters total. So yeah. Oh, that's right. Uoto's super young. He's like 25 right now.
kid.
And when he did like that heliocentric manga, he was like 22, 23, and it won the Tezuka Osamu Cultural Prize in 2022. He won the grand prize for it, so another very young creator in the manga industry. But yeah, that's the manga. Yokoso, fact. Tokyo Esku Dai ni Shibuya. Welcome to Fact. The fact that it's called Fact. Tokyo South District, second branch. I will keep my eye on this manga, and I will report back if we get some more like clues about the intent of this manga or the story or whatever.
Yeah,
not in English yet, Chris.
I think the fact that like the thing he was praised for in middle school, which is like the logic charts, is his point of pride that he still holds on today as a young adult in the workforce has to be like a joke. You know?
It comes up like in every chapter when he's thinking things through in his head. He's like, could this mean this? And then like he's like, no, there's no way. And then like he kind of forces a logic tree to work in like what he wants or what it should be in his mind. So
like, how often like do you come across people who's like, when I was at kindergarten, I was really good at figure painting, so I'm the right man for this job. It's like what the fuck.
When the woman is hanging out with this other man, and obviously he's like stalking them, he's like, do they like them? No, there's no way. She likes me. So is she being duped? Is she being tricked and brainwashed? It's like, dude. But yeah, that's a manga I want to talk about because it is it's not something I've ever seen before, for sure.
Sounds interesting.
Yes, omoshiroi, or I wouldn't even know if I would call it omoshiroi.
Omoshilittle.
Omoshilittle.
New manga Mac term. Here we go.
All right, that will end my what you've been reading. Morgana, you have anything this week?
Not this week, nope.
All right then. Darfox, you have anything this week?
Do I have time to talk about a movie?
What kind of movie?
A live action movie?
Is it tangentially related? Yeah, sure, whatever. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dar. Whatever.
I want to mention that me, OB, and our other friend, Mr. X, we watched Skinamarink. I don't know if you've ever heard of this movie, but it's a horror movie that came out earlier this year. It's currently on Hulu, I believe. It might be in other streaming platforms.
Shouldn't you save this for next week then? Because that's when October Extravaganza starts.
Well, it's a preamble. But I'm not gonna remember about Skinamarink next week. Are you crazy?
Okay.
I'm gonna purge it. I don't know how much to say about it, but I did want to describe it and kind of give a recommendation about what people might like about it or what kind of people might like it, depending on what kind of movies you like. But I don't know if you heard anything about this movie, but it's a horror movie, but it's borderline experimental. It doesn't have a traditional narrative with a regular like dialogue scenes. It's mostly seen by like static camera angles looking at a house. And I'll spoil the plot of the movie. That the movie slowly shows you what the plot is after like 20 minutes. But essentially, one day this young boy and young girl, the boy being like 3 or 4 years old, he's really young, and the girl's probably like 6, 7, kind of like older toddler age. They wake up and their parents are gone, and all the windows and doors to their house are gone. So they're trapped in their own house, but it's this weird, like somehow their whole house got spirited away. And it's really eerie. It's a movie that like makes like a hallway with nothing happening scary. It's a movie that has a lot of grain and fuzz in the image. It's not a clear image, because the way the film builds tension is that the kids will kind of be talking and chatting, and and they're like, "Where's mom? Whoa, look, can we watch TV?" And they're watching TV and stuff like that. They also, it doesn't sound like natural film dialogue. It kind of sounds like kids talking, which is kind of works to the film's benefit. It's not found footage, but sometimes it looks like found footage because like it just has cameras looking at corners of a room and stuff like that for like a long time. But whenever the camera's looking down a hallway and it's all dark and it's super grainy, like you can't help but just kind of picture stuff down that hallway. And I guess I'll spoil you enough to say that there is like, I guess you could say a bad guy. There is something causing this. There is something or someone that is the antagonist of the movie. But it's not a traditional scary movie. It's really kind of movie you really gotta let it like sink into you. And it is very disturbing because it's essentially young children in peril, um with no safety net whatsoever. Um just it's just the children and an empty house and maybe something in the house with them. Um so if you're okay with experimental and like non-traditionally told stories, it's I highly recommend it. It's I haven't really seen a movie like it. I don't know if I ever watch it again, but it was I would call it very spooky. Um Spooky enough that sometimes when I've been in the dark, I kind of like my eye, you know when you close your eyes, you kind of get like the fuzziness. It's not pure darkness. You see like patterns or something in your eyelids. And like I think about that movie and I think about how that movie used so much of that darkness and the graininess in the film to just kind of like maybe trick you or suggest to you that there's something right there next to you looking at you in that darkness. It's pretty well done.
This sounds horrifying.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. Yeah, it's like okay. It's totally the kind of movie that if you go on Amazon.com or like or some some regular website, it's gonna have hundreds of 1-star reviews and it says this movie's stupid. What is this movie like? Well, I'll watch this movie for 1 hour, nothing happened. I mean, it's not for everybody. Like to most people, a horror movie means something's coming at you with a knife. You gotta run away fast. Like
Oh yeah, I hate
yeah,
that kind. But this also seems like, I mean, this is Anxiety the film. I mean, it's
yes,
like I
especially dealing with children. Like
yes. Oh yeah, no, I can't watch this. Absolutely not.
yeah, this whole film is like at a drop of a hat, children can be kind of alone,
Mm-mm.
and what happens like they, they can only help themselves, but like when they're that young, they can't. So yeah, it's very interesting. I highly recommend it with heavy caveats. So that's our October extravaganza preview of talking about spooky stuff.
Very nice. Well, this is a good time to end what you've been reading, and I would move on to what we're doing next week. But we do have one news thing, Darfox.
Oh yes.
So this is super fucking surprising, and it was done with almost zero fanfare. But Hajime no Ippo is finally available officially in English.
It was so fanfareless that I saw it posted on our Discord, and I don't think I thought about it until like a day later. I forget who, probably LA or somebody posted it, and I was like, "Oh, neat! Hell yeah! I love Hajime Ippo," and I just like literally just scrolled away, and then like a day later, I was like, "Hajime no Ippo in English? That's like that's kind of big, isn't it?" We've been asking for that for a while, right?
Yep.
So I think it was the first 10 volumes. Is that what they said?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It looks like it goes up to around chapter 87. So it's there.
How far in the story do you think that is? That has to be past
I think it is right after the fight with Mashiba.
Oh, okay. So
this is before the fight with Sendo for the East-West championship.
right. No, but I feel like Mashiba is like that's when that series kind of starts to get into its swing of things, because you got a good sense for like the different boxers and their personalities and stuff. Yeah, that's really cool.
The question is, Dar, do we do Morgana's manga makeup on this?
Well, first of all, yeah, we should definitely read it. As far as reading all 10 volumes, I don't know if we should try that.
No, it'd be one volume. I don't want to make somebody read 10 volumes of Hajime
Okay.
Ippo.
Okay. No, yeah, absolutely. One volume of Hajime Ippo. The manga that's been going on literally since the dawn of time.
Still ongoing.
Cars weren't invented when this manga started freaking being drawn. It was all horse carriages back then.
Horse carriages and the manly art of boxing.
there is a flashback arc way later in the manga to like post World War II, like boxing in Japan, and it's a pretty famous flashback, but it's quite fun.
I will say one thing about this digital edition of Hajime no Ippo, because George Morikawa held out so long for doing digital editions of like Hajime no Ippo, they put in so much care into like this digital edition. It looks so nice.
That's what you want to hear, right? Like,
yeah, you want to hear someone, like, if someone's doing a digital edition, they are taking the care to make sure everything looks great. Everything's scanned like perfectly and lines up. There are no fucking weird mistakes. Something that we will be talking about in our main segment.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Chris has a question. Does Ippo have an endpoint or an end goal like One Piece, or is it going to be a case closed thing where it runs forever? I think people have predicted how it's going to end because they have a general idea where the story is going. So it seems like it doesn't really have a set endpoint. It's not like, because the whole tagline of the series, Dagazu, right, is I want to know what it means to be strong, which it was just a super open ended question. It's like the whole point is, as Ippo, he was like a weak boy that would get picked on. And he's like, I want to know what it means to be strong. And he met a boxer, and the boxer was like a strong person, strong in personality, strong in physical strength, strong in being assertive. He's like, I want to be like that, and he entered the world of boxing to be strong. But like, no matter, like, fast forward a billion chapters, a billion fights, he's always like, I still don't know what it means to be strong. I'm still trying to figure that out. So it's like, it's super open ended. There's no like specific goal like that, but it's about the career of a boxer, right? And there's only a few ways that can end, right? At a certain point, you can't box forever. Like, you get old or your body shuts down. So,
you know what? I'm gonna make a prediction, and it's a little morbid, but I think George Morikawa is gonna pass away before he finishes writing this.
very possible. Very sad, if so.
The pace of new chapters is very behind, and he's nowhere near the end. Like, he's less near the end than One Piece is. So it's just not good. I'm legitimately concerned for his health and like whether he'll be able to finish this.
Well, I mean, I don't know the situation that well, but I think doesn't he work with boxers? Isn't he still a second? Didn't he have his own gym?
He does.
And
he has a lot of things he's interested. But the man is 57. Okay, this man is pushing 60. And like, it's not like One Piece where an end could be in the possibility in 5 years. An end is probably not in the possibility for this guy, for the story where it is for another 10 years. So that's why I say this.
That's wild to think about. But I was gonna say, I hope that the fact that he does draw it at a slow pace means that he has a work-life balance where he commits himself to other stuff. But
he does. Do you know what he really got into like this past year, Darfox?
What that?
G Gundam.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Very specifically G Gundam. Like he was drawing his like Takamura wearing that black suit from the main guy,
yeah. The
and he
suit
started
where you
building his own
control
Gundams now.
the suit where you control the Gundam with. Yeah,
Yeah, and like he posts like on Twitter, like on social media, his Gundams that he's made. I was like, I made this Gundam. It's really awesome.
see, that's awesome.
He also loves mahjong, so like that comes up in his like uh in the manga sometimes as well. And he loves fishing, which obviously comes up in the
That
manga.
comes up.
Mhm.
He loves fist fighting bears. Also comes up in the manga.
that is not true. But yeah, it's very exciting. Chris wanted to know where this is available. I'm sorry, Chris. It's on K Manga,
Oof, sorry, Chris.
which is not available
Oh
in
no,
Canada.
that's an insult to injury there. I'm sorry, Chris.
Yeah,
We need to do something about that soon.
I
It's kind of ridiculous.
who knows when that will happen? Who knows when they'll update more chapters of Hajime no Ippo on K Manga as well? So we'll see. I'm super glad it's finally out in 2023 for a manga that started in 1989.
1989, the number.
Yep. But there you go. Okay, let's move along and let's talk about what we're doing next week. Next week, it will be October. It's Morgana's favorite time of the year. It's going to be
Yes.
Halloween season. We're going to do our October extravaganza, entire month themed on horror and Halloween and manga and other kind of media that we'll be looking at. For the first week of October extravaganza, we are going to be reading Be Very Afraid of Kanako Inuki by Kanako Inuki. Morgana, you talked about this at last year's October extravaganza.
I did, and I'm excited for you guys to read her stuff.
You talked about it during our recommendation roundup, which
Yes.
I had to remind myself because when we were talking about when we were planning for programming, I was like, "Didn't we read this? Oh my god!" Like,
No, we talked. It was brought up. Yeah,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
brought up on the podcast.
I
but
had
we
to
didn't
look it up.
personally read it.
Yeah, I had to look it up. So, but that's awesome.
Yeah, Seamus will be back next week. We're gonna read this one-shot collection of horror stories. I'm looking forward to it. I've never read any of Kanako Inuki's work, so very excited for this. Someone besides Junji Ito, finally. We also might have a little bonus of Hideshi Ino stuff to talk about as well next week. I'll
Some
tease
classics,
that as well.
man.
Yes, yeah. So it's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to this. Kicking off October extravaganza with Be Very Afraid of Kanako Inuki. Darfox is going to try and put out a little preview video like he does every year. It was a little hard this year because we kept like being like, oh wait, that's not out yet. Oh wait, maybe we can't do this. So we're juggling a lot of things.
Scheduling a weekly manga podcast can be difficult at times. Scheduling and theming a weekly manga podcast is very difficult sometimes.
And then working around people being in and out all month
Yes,
is also going to be something as well.
Yeah, October is really busy.
Wait till November and December. It's all coming. Oh yeah. Stay tuned for next week. All right, everybody, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, it'll be time to get into a triple dip. Okay, we are back, everyone. For our main topic, we're doing a triple dip, which means we're looking at 3 different manga. We're looking at the first volume of each, and we're going to talk about them and pick our favorite. So for this triple dip, we will be talking about Adam, the Beginning. We will also be talking about Boys Abyss. And we will be talking about The Summer Hikaru Died. Darfox, why don't you pick the first one? What shall we talk about first?
Ooh, me?
Yes, you.
I think we should talk about the summer Hikaru died.
All right. we're gonna kick it off with the summer Hikaru died. It's a manga. Can't speak.
Manga.
This is a manga by Moku mo Kuren. I guess it's Moku mo Kuren.
Yeah, and I looked it up. A Mokumokuren is like a many-eyed creature of Japanese folklore.
Like a beholder.
That makes sense. So this manga started in 2022. It runs in Young Ace Up magazine, put out by Kadokawa. It is licensed in English by Yen Press, which is the company Morgana works for. Remember, everybody, Morgana's opinions here are her own, and they do not reflect Yen Press officially. This manga is translated in English by Ajani Oloyi, and the letterer is Abigail Blackman. I'm going to go ahead and read the copy we have here on the Yen Press website. It has Hikaru's face. It has Hikaru's voice. It even has Hikaru's memories. But whatever came down from the mountains 6 months ago isn't Yoshiki's best friend. Whatever it is, it's dangerous. Carrying on at school and hanging out as if nothing changed, as if Hikaru isn't gone, would be crazy. But when it looks so much like Hikaru and acts so very like Hikaru. ... Yeah, Morgana, you said you wanted us to read this. I kind of feel like we should save this for October Extravaganza a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, this is essentially a BL horror manga. Pretty fascinating.
Yeah, well, so far the romance is very very interesting because essentially an entity has taken over um one of the boys in this romance's body, and they share the boy's memories. um so the entity itself is kind of confused about do they like the other boy themselves, or are they just going off the memory. um and the other boy, who was kind of like left behind, they're in this almost like Stockholm situation where they just don't want to be left behind again. So they're accepting this new entity as Hikaru.
Yeah, I would I wouldn't think of it so much as a romance or as love as fear and possession. I think is really like the pervasive theme here. Like, so Hikaru's body is possessed, right? But Yoshiki is also kind of being possessed. As in, like, he is this new Hikaru's possession in some ways. He's beholden to him.
Okay.
I'm gonna put up like basically like the big reveal in the very first few pages. Second.
I will say, when I read this manga, and when you get the reveal, like, what, 6 pages in?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
was, like,
Mhm.
very shocked. I was
Yeah.
like, what? Okay.
I think I had an inkling that this manga was gonna go in this direction, but I didn't realize it was gonna do it like that and so soon. I don't know if I'd heard a synopsis about this somewhere, or if Morgana was more explicit about it earlier when she talked about it. Um, but I was like, oh, okay, we're kind of going right into it.
Yeah, I also wasn't really expecting it to go so hard so fast. um, this is my second time reading this. I read this back in May. I was looking at my list. I think it came out in June this year. I remember reading that page with the reveal and basically going, "Oh, this is really good." Like immediately. Like I don't know, like I had a feeling I was going to like this, but I don't know, the first like few pages just hit me hard. This kind of uh like even in this first, the Yoshiki figures it out and Hikaru's like, "I thought I did such a good job." And he's like, "Please don't tell anyone. This is my first time being human. I'm having such a good time." And it's one of those situations where you know that something bad is happening, you know that this entity is something bad, but you also like it like pulls on your own heartstrings there. Like you kind of have pity, and it does it like first thing. It's like, you got to feel bad for the monster now, like already, instead of building up that kind of sympathy like Frankenstein or something, you know what I mean, like over the course of a whole story.
I want to mention something about this manga that I immediately noticed, and like I think most people immediately notice. There is so much onomatopoeia that has been replaced and put up on in the first couple pages because it's like the buzzing of the cicadas.
Yes, it's a lot of it.
Good for Abigail Blackman. I hope they had like layered like sound effects on a different layer, so it wasn't like such awful work to like replace all those.
Oh no, I don't know. I can only imagine. Oof. Yeah, because that's another like there's a lot of atmosphere I feel in this manga, and part of it is sound. It is that like pervasive because it's all like you can't. Sometimes I feel like sound effects, I don't always notice them because I'm reading and I'm very immersed, but you really can't help but notice all the cicada noises because they're everywhere on these pages.
Yeah.
It's really kind of oppressive, and that's kind of the whole like this village surrounded by mountains, and like the dense kind of work that Mokumokuren does, the artwork.
The artwork is so good.
It's so good. It's really good.
It is insanely good, this art.
And it's so oppressive. You feel claustrophobic in some of these scenes. It's so like it's pushing down on you. It's really, really effective.
There's a great shot in this manga. It's page what page is it? It says location 46 on the Kindle app, but Hikaru's face, or the thing that is Hikaru's face, is half in black, and it's like so striking. The shadows on that side. Which is immediately followed by like the old lady who is screaming after looking at the Hikaru thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also really good. Also, I like there's a big white fluffy cat that sees the Hikaru thing and flips out. Also drawn super good.
Yeah.
Remember, I want to hold Awano-kun so badly I could die.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This manga feels similar to that, but just like the difference in, graphical prowess, I would say.
Yeah.
It's just way more effective.
Yeah, because I didn't like Awano-kun that much.
Yeah, you specifically didn't like the art style that much.
Yeah, and for me, and I may have mentioned this at the time, but for me, the style of the art and the draftsmanship in a horror manga specifically is really important to me. I don't know what it is, but I really don't like ugly horror. It's not, if it doesn't look good, I don't feel engaged with it. And Mokumoku-ren is a really good artist, but also specifically a really good horror artist. There's a lot. I mean, you saw that in the page that Darfox had up on the screen. You see like the Hikaru thing's face melting. There's a lot of that really good, weird, abstract body horror stuff that happens. I don't think this would be the same book without it. You know.
I guess there's not much to say about the plot because it all seems pretty straightforward. I mean, there's obviously mysteries about what entity is inside Hikaru. There was that weird incident when the group is going through the forest and they see something weird. And Hikaru, the thing that's in Hikaru has to like save them.
There's also this kind of Darfox, I think, mentions Stockholm syndrome. This idea of like Yoshiki is trying to ignore the fact that this isn't really Hikaru, and he's accepting that it's not Hikaru, but it's something that's good enough, right? Like it'll do, and it's really hard, not hard to tell, but I kind of wonder, like, if we're being set up so that is this new Hikaru entirely bad, right? Like, it said that Hikaru was already dying when it came along and possessed his body. So it didn't kill him. But is that
true?
But is that true, right? Are we being, given falsehoods? Is this thing really malevolent, or is it something that is not, it's not really bad, it's just scary? Because go ahead.
No, sorry. I mean, I think that's a great point to bring up, but they had that scene with the old lady, and she clearly got attacked.
She did, but we don't know by whom. That's never shown.
It's heavily implied that it's Hikaru, but it's also explained that because something, and I think it's implying that because the new Hikaru entity left the mountain and came down to be with the humans, it's kind of making everything topsy-turvy in like the demon or supernatural world. Things are ramping up for some reason. So it could be something else.
Because there are other things in those mountains. That was established too.
Right. In the forest with a group of... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I put a page up that has just like a pretty good gimmick of these word bubbles like reaching out and clawing at the main character, like his doubts and his own. This is a part of the story where he's like wrestling with the fact that like he should probably do something about the fact that he's living in close proximity with this weird entity, and it's not his friend. He's finally kind of coming to terms with it.
And there is this implication that both Yoshiki and Hikaru, or maybe just the other Hikaru, has romantic feelings. But I'm also having a hard time as I read this trying to figure out if that's like, if those are genuine feelings, or if, like, again, this entity has never had, a body before, has never been human before, has never experienced these things before, and has kind of latched on to a best friend, right? And like stories about like best friends who are like too close, and it's not that they're romantically involved, it's that they're like codependent, right? They can't live without the other person, and it's like not a healthy relationship. This almost feels like that in some ways. I mean, this Hikaru entity has said, in the course of this first volume, like, I can't live without you, like I can't be without you, and that's so manipulative and so unhealthy in a relationship of any kind. And it is really complicated when, for Yoshiki, like, this is his best friend that he grew up with, so he wants to be there for him, but he also feels kind of trapped by this, like by his own anxieties and fears, and also by this supernatural thing that's going on.
It's very messy, but in a great way. It's very engaging to read.
Super messy.
Yeah, I love this.
I'm so glad. I love it too. Dara, what did you?
It was very hard for me not to like immediately go to Bookwalker and buy like the Japanese volumes and keep reading.
I actually have the second volume, the print volume. It comes out, I think October 17th is the on sale date. I have an early copy, and I almost read it before this, but I didn't have the time. I actually wasn't even going to reread this. I was like, oh, I read it recently, and then last night I was like, I've got time. I'm just going to read it again. And I like almost never reread books, like certainly not within the same year. I just read this in May for the first time. You know what I mean? Like, but it's so good, you guys. It's so good. But Dar, I don't know, like, you picked this one to start with. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, no, I did enjoy it. I thought it was it has a palpable sense of dread that you wouldn't expect. Because it does feel like the main character is just at like dangerous proximity constantly. Even though the Hikaru entity hasn't really seemed unhinged, but they do seem troubled, right? So like it almost feels like at any point the entity could like snap and just hurt the main character or something like that. And there's that scene that's like very invasive, that almost feels like sexual exploration, where he sticks a hand inside of the entity and kind of feels the entity, and is like you said, somebody could read it if they really wanted to as something romantic, but it could also more read it as almost like somebody forced to do something that's uncomfortable.
There was also something about it was very like consumptive, like so the Hikaru entity like opens his chest and is like, go ahead, put your hand inside, and Yoshiki does, and it's like it feels like marinated chicken. But Hikaru is kind of messing around and kind of starts to suck Yoshiki inside this like void inside of him, and then he's like, haha, just kidding. But it's like, it's very clear that he could just swallow Yoshiki whole, like at any point. You know what I mean? Like, it's, is it sexual? Is it consumptive? Is it possession?
So good dread manga.
No, as I was reading, and I had mentioned that maybe you guys wanted to read it like while I was out for the podcast, but then Daxu, you're gonna be out as well at the same time. And I'm like, it's okay. And as I'm reading, I'm like, this is really a horror book. We should have read this like next week, but it's okay.
It's okay.
I'm just glad y'all read it,
and we enjoyed it.
Yes, it's very gratifying.
I look forward to reading more. Definitely want to read another volume. I guess my only concern would be is I hope this doesn't drag out too long.
Yeah, I don't know right now how long it is. I'd have to look that up on like manga updates, but I agree. I think it would be best if it's kept kind of tight. Otherwise the mystery just kind of isn't a mystery anymore, just kind of gets annoying, right?
Yeah, I already brought up I Want to Hold Aono-kun so badly I could die. And that series I feel like has reached the point where it is just too long now. They had like maybe a 2 or 3 volume length flashback for Aono-kun recently.
No.
It was so long. It explained a lot, and they did a lot with that story, but Yeah.
What is it with flashbacks being like the harbinger of a series decline?
I don't know. It's ever since Seamus, like that's all we can see now. Going to flashbacks, well, you know.
It looks like right now, it's 4 volumes long and ongoing, but that's not crazy.
No, I also wouldn't like it to become too. This hasn't happened at all in the first volume, but if there are other entities, I wouldn't want it to be like any action where like the Hikaru entity is like, "Oh, stand back! I'll protect you from this," and then there's like a weird action scene or something like that.
I can't imagine that would happen. This really feels like it's going to be like a hashtag mood the whole time.
I would hope so. I never turn my back, or I never put it past manga to just suddenly become battle.
Yeah.
Or it's
fair.
popular, so they want to extend it. And the publishers and the editors are like, write more, write more. Forcing the creator to do something that maybe they didn't originally intend, or they don't have ideas for, that aren't as strong, you know.
But
You never know.
to be fair to the creator though, like this does feel like really it just I would call this like kind of textured. Like there's kind of a lot to it. Even though it's a pretty simple setup, like the characters feel like can have a lot of different reactions and go in different directions. Um, I think they have a lot of runway on this series without having to resort to stuff like the stuff we were just talking about.
I don't know. We've only read the first volume, and the first volume is very good. So it's like it's not a fear of like this story is scary. It's the fear of I hope this continues to be good.
Well, I have faith.
The true fear of manga.
I know. No, I'm choosing to feel positively about it. And at the very least, if it does go on for a long time, we get a lot of this really nice artwork.
Yeah, it can't be understated how pretty everything looks. Like the expressions are really great. The horror and the shading are really great. The paneling is just everything is just top notch.
This spread that Dar has up right now with their like middle school graduation photo in the bottom corner and like
Yeah.
their ridiculous faces is so good, and they do that quite a bit. Hikaru especially makes like a lot of weird faces.
Oh, that's not middle school, Morgan. They're in middle school right now.
They're in middle
that's
school. Sorry.
Yeah, that's their elementary school graduation.
Makes me even stupider.
Seamus said he read 20 pages of this, and then he was like, I don't care, so he stopped reading.
I'm really surprised. I thought he would enjoy it, but he's hard to predict sometimes.
The good art could not distract from, I guess, what he might have considered like, I don't know.
He's lived this life before.
Yeah.
Life.
Yeah. At the beginning, I call this a BL story, but yeah, Morgana, you're right. It's not a BL story.
Yeah, it's not BL in the sense that this is not like a desirable romantic fantasy in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yoshiki clearly has or had feelings for Hikaru, which are like clouding his judgment when it comes to this entity that is currently Hikaru.
Actually kind of has some connections to Skin in a Rink, really. But I just talked about the podcast. Yes.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, well, I didn't explain everything that happens in that movie, but like the whole like children's hanging out with this thing that's not good and can hurt them anytime is like kind of a big part of Skin in a Rink.
Oh, okay. That is close.
I was also thinking about just the feeling of anxiety that like is so prevalent. You know what's funny? You're talking about Skinamarink, and I was thinking I've seen very few kind of suspenseful horror films like that, but I kept thinking of Babadook, which I have seen. Have you guys seen that one?
No, I heard it's really good though.
It is
Nope.
okay. It is good. I will never ever watch it again. I was at a friend's house like for just hanging out, and they're like, "Let's watch this horror film," and I was like, "Okay," and I had to like close my eyes for half of it, but it is very good. But there's the same thing where it's a woman and her son. I believe, if I remember correctly, her husband died, and there's this thing in her house, and there's this thing kind of possessing her life, and she like half of the anxiety that I had was because there was a child, and there's this like strange entity, and you don't really know what it is or why it is, or and this feels like that too. There's a lot of tension, in Babadook, a lot of tension in Summer Hikaru Died. It's really, really good. The difference is I could reread this over and over again and not feel like I'm suffocating inside a very small box, which some horror films kind of make me feel.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this before, but I can read horror manga until the end of days, and it will not affect me. But you cannot put me in front of horror video games or horror movies.
Yeah, I'm the same. Not 100%, but yeah, there are very few. I need to be very careful about the horror films that I consume.
I'm kind of like well, I was gonna say I'm like a weird baby, but like I don't know if this is actually kind of normal. But like if I'm ever watching a YouTube video of like a YouTuber playing a horror game or something, and I know there's a jump scare coming up, I'm like, I don't want to get jump scared because I like it's like I just can't help it. It's like almost like like a bodily function is the jump scare. Um, so I take the video off full screen and I make the video small, so that like because like if for some reason like if it's full screen, I feel like it's taking more of my senses over, and it's like more it's more capable of just like rocking my world with like the bing jump scare or whatever. So when I make it small, it's just kind of like a brief color change in the square on my screen. And it's not that like invasive. And the same kind of goes for like dread movies, right? They're more effective when like they're full screen and the room is dark, and it's kind of like more touching your senses. But if it's just like a window on my screen, and my other screen has like a web browser where people are complaining about video game scores or something, it's just like it does lose something with like the less um not interactivity. What's the word I'm looking for? Immersion is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
So
that totally makes sense.
I don't know. I don't know if you agree or disagree. If a manga is just inherently less immersive than like a movie or video game. Um,
Maybe. I think part of it too is like same thing with reading like prose horror, like scary prose, like my brain is interpreting it differently than it interprets like I guess like the visual stimulus of a film or a video game. It's like, yeah, I guess maybe immersion is the word. Like it is happening to you, even if it's not happening to you. You know what I mean? Whereas when I'm reading it on a manga or in a book, like a novel, it's there. It's happening somewhere else, and I can still feel like spooked by it. I can still feel creeped out, but not like I am in danger. You know what I mean?
Do you know what it is? It's audio.
Yeah. Yep. That's a large part of it. Although, interestingly, we talked about all the sound effects in the Summer Hikaru Died, and that is like the closest they're gonna come to replicating that kind of sensation that film audio gives you or video game audio gives you. That like inescapable, like because I said I was closing my eyes while watching the Babadook, but like I was still scared shitless because I could hear everything that was happening. Yeah. And those composers know what they're doing to make your, I don't know, like the water in your brain like vibrate in a way that like freaks you out. I don't know.
I'm watching that horror anime, Dark Gathering, with my wife, and like you are very, you can draw some like really scary imagery and animate that, but ultimately, like the thing that's doing the most work, the legwork for the series, is the audio. Yeah. They really make sure that audio is creepy, and that like helps carry that horror for that anime.
That all said, like I definitely know people who can't read Junji Ito or like said that Uzumaki fucked them up, and like I don't get it. Like I can there are definitely stories, manga stories that I read and I'm like, ooh, this is scary. Like this one. I mean, Summer Hikaru Died is scary. But it's an enjoyable feeling as opposed to like again, I have anxiety, so like this doesn't trigger my personal anxiety. I feel anxious on behalf of the characters, but that's like a different thing. Uzumaki did not fuck me up. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, when I first started reading Junji Ito, I definitely become desensitized to Junji Ito. When I first started reading Junji Ito, it was the ideas that were kind of fucking me up, because I was thinking about it was nothing visceral or immediate. It was more like intellectual. Well, I was thinking about like the Amagiri fault line or whatever, and like that weird Eldritch horror idea of like, this hole and the hole knows you and you belong to the hole and you gotta go to the hole now. Like, oh, like, yeah, that's creepy. Like, it's just like this weird inescapable destiny, right? So like, and I'm not saying that Ito's like this super high-minded intellectual horror, but it has like these heady ideas sometimes. And that's what was really creepy to me about Junji Ito. It was almost never like this is scary reading it. It's more like this is cool and interesting. Personally.
Yeah, he's really into that like cosmic horror thing that, I mean he has said he's very influenced by Lovecraft. Same deal. It's kind of about a lot of what ifs, you know what I mean? That you kind of think about and end up going down this, well, spiral, so to speak.
Why?
I started saying it and I was like, God damn it, I can't believe I'm gonna say this.
One of my coworkers, we were talking about Junji Ito, and they were like, "I still haven't read that one. Oh, don't tell me what the name was." And I was like, "Are they talking about Uzumaki?" And she was like, "The one about the spirals." And I was like, "Okay." She was talking about that, but she wanted to remember it herself, right? And I was like, "Okay, fine. I won't tell you the name. It's fine." And then I told her, "Were you ever a Naruto fan?" And she's like, "Ah, Uzumaki." So I thought that was funny. I'd love to show more of this manga out, but I think
we should probably wrap up. Sorry, I think my push stuff stopped working for a while.
Were you talking?
I
was like, gosh, Takazu's really quiet.
Yeah, I was talking a bunch.
So this manga definitely has more highlightable pages, but we should probably stick to those 2 pages I showed.
We should. Any final thoughts to say about this, Morgana?
Just that I love it. I think it's maybe my favorite thing that we're publishing again this year. Possibly my favorite read of the year. Volume 2 comes out October 17th. I just double checked. So available in print and digital. I don't mean to be a shill, but also I'm going to be a shill. This is really, really good, and if you like horror, I really, really, really recommend it.
Yeah, this is great. Dark Fox, anything else?
Thumbs up.
All right. Let's move along. Morgana, which manga shall we talk about next?
Let's make a weirdo sandwich. Let's put Adam the beginning in the middle.
Yes, I'm glad you chose Adam.
Yeah, let's do Adam.
All right, we're going to talk about Adam the Beginning. It is a prequel to Astro Boy. It started running in Hero magazine by Shogakukan Creative. Wait, did I say 2014? I'm really losing it today, everybody.
No, you didn't say a date. You just said it was a prequel.
Okay, good. That's what I thought. Okay, yeah, it started in 2014.
Remember, Dagazu, you signed over your life savings to me?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so this manga is... The story is done by Yuki Masami. He's the manga artist behind Pat Labor. It's a very famous manga artist. And the actual artist for Adam the Beginning is Tetsuro Kasahara. This manga is also being overseen by Makoto Tezuka, the son of Osamu Tezuka, the original creator of Astro Boy. English edition of this manga is put out by Titan Comics. Dark Fox, they also put out Ryuko, which we talked about when Morgana was on
Maternity leave.
Maternity leave.
Yeah, see, like my brain. Jeez.
Morgana leave.
Yes. All right, hold on. I'm gonna get the localization credits here. So, translation done by Jonathan Clements and lettering by Jessica Burton. Now, the first thing I want to say about this... Wait. Let me read the copy first. Sorry. Adam the Beginning is an original manga based on the god of manga Osamu Tezuka's famous series Astro Boy. It works both as a prequel to the original series, telling the stories of the developers of the artificial intelligence that would eventually give birth to the iconic Adam, and as a standalone sci-fi manga about the turbulent lives of two robotic engineering students and their latest revolutionary project, the unassuming yet insanely strong A-10-6, or 6. Okay. So here's the thing. This manga is published in English by Titan Comics. There's a logo for Titan Manga on the cover of this. They don't have a good reputation for their manga projects. What was the Kamen Rider comic? Was it Kuga?
Yeah.
Yeah, they put out Kamen Rider Kuga, and they said it was like people blasted it for being like terrible, like machine translated things that didn't make any sense. They actually had to like apologize, and I think they had to said they would republish it. We've had some experience with them, Dark Fox, reading Ryuko by Eldo Yoshimizu,
which I was fine with overall.
I'm fine with it overall as well. With Adam the Beginning, the thing is the translation. I think the translation is fine. This manga unfortunately suffers from some lettering things, and I don't think this is this issue so much with Jessica Burton as it is with Jessica Burton is probably someone who letters Western comics, and so the way the lettering works here is very little things are done to match the style of the manga onomatopoeias or the lettering there. So a lot of the lettering, especially for the sound effects, is very flat. I forgot what chapter it was, but there was a sign that they replaced the sign on a store with English, and that totally didn't match the perspective of how what it was looked like. There's a lot of things there. The placement of the sound effects are sometimes right on top of the Japanese onomatopoeias, which is like, I feel a huge no-no in manga. Like, why would you do that? Or they would place... I saw this in Ryuko as well, but there's like a dash translation that they put at the explosive like cloud when a robot is jumping forward, and you should never do that. Like, to put it right at the point of like where it's supposed to be, that makes it look like a word bubble instead. I was like, don't do that. So I wasn't very pleased with the lettering. Here's the thing about this. We read the digital edition that was out on Kindle. The paging is wrong.
Yeah. I
cannot believe this mistake exists. Even from the beginning of this manga, it starts with a 2-page spread. It's supposed to be 8-10-6, and they fucked up the order of the pages.
But only on those spreads, I feel like I was able to read it okay in order, but whenever there was like a 2-page spread like that, they were flipped.
They were flipped. All 2-page spreads were flipped.
I'm gonna put it on the thing. Hold on. Right here, you see on the right side, this page, it's narration setting up the situation, setting up the story, and on the left page, you see A106. Is that his name?
Yeah.
A10-6. Yeah.
810-6.
You could just call him 6. That's how they refer to him. 6.
You see him kind of like in an action pose running, but only half of him, because if you turn the page, in the Kindle app, you get the other half of him on the right page, and then the continuation of the narration on the left page. So it's like a little switcheroo that happened there. Nice robot butt though. It's isolated from the body. You get to see it.
That is a nice robot butt. But let me also tell you both this. The entire 2-page layout for this English edition is not correct.
Oh no. I read it on my tablet, so it was 1 page at a time.
That I had to read it 1 page at a time because it pissed me off too much looking at in the Kindle app from the 2-page spread because it's wrong.
I'm going to switch over to the Bookwalker sample chapter.
Yes.
Lamo, look at that full robot and anime beauty right there. Look at him go.
But also, the pages are wrong. The left page, what should be the left page, is on the right side, and then the next right page is on the left side in like the way it's formatted. I don't even understand why they thought that was okay. Like, George Morikawa complaining about shitty digital versions, this is it.
Yeah, I suspect, I mean, it has something to do with not publishing a whole lot of manga.
Yeah.
And the digital aspect of it being different than, doing it for print.
But they put in extra pages. There's like a weird splash page between chapters to change that, to make it so it's always wrong.
Yeah, it's not great. Sorry,
it's not great. It's not great. All right. Now that we got this edition and like how the pages are wrong out of the way, let's actually talk about this manga. Morgana, give me your honest thoughts about Adam the Beginning.
It was okay. My problem with it is possibly my assumption is that it is for a much younger audience. The characters do a lot of exposition and dialogue that I really hate. Like, what do you mean, 6? You know who I am. I'm Hiroshi Ochinomizu, and I helped create. I'm like, like, and they did that a lot, like in every single chapter whenever a character is introduced, or like that drove me crazy. I find the character designs are really interesting, especially coming from Pluto to this, and still having never actually read Astro Boy. I really like to see how they interpreted those characters. And 6 is really cool, and the robot designs are really cool. I think in general, I am not the demographic for this book. But I didn't super dislike it. I think, again, for the right audience, I think it's perfectly fine, It's just not me. I'm not 7.
I think that's totally fair, Morgana. I like how you did appreciate the design of the robots.
Yeah, I thought they were really cool, actually, because I was reading, I was like, I don't know about this, and I was like, you know what, though? Like, it's got some good stuff going on. It's got some stuff going for it, definitely.
I will say this first volume is mostly exposition and setup, and that part sucks to read. This series gets way better after this first volume. But in general, like it is what it is. It's we're looking at Dr. Tenma and Dr. Ochanomizu when they were university students, and they were friends, and they started to design this like system to make a AI. What was it called? I can't ever remember.
It's this like German. I couldn't pronounce it anyway, even when I was looking at it closely. Buswisten?
Something like that.
Something like that.
My kind of issue rereading this, I remember when I first read it and found it, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, doing a prequel. I like how the story is written by Yuki Masami. And I thought all the character designs were interesting. I like how it's a very simple power that 6 has, which is like a rapid fire, like piston punch. I was like, that's easy to understand. I don't like the female characters and their designs.
Oh, yeah.
They're bad.
Sure.
They're
definitely
very outdated.
Actually, I kind of like Run.
The sister
the
or
sister,
the girl?
Sister. Okay. Yeah, the sister. She's cute.
But she's like, she's a mute character.
Yeah, no, I know. Yes, there are issues with it, definitely, but I kind of like her conceptually.
Yeah, I kind of like the art and the character design in general, but I would have to concede that like the main kind of love interest, 1 second, whom I have on screen right now, were they trying to keep like testicle proportions on her or something? Because she does look off.
Her neck looks broken in that picture.
I don't think so. I think that's just the way the artist draws the characters. It doesn't look bad for the male characters. Like, I really like the young Ochanomizu.
Yeah.
He's got hair, but he's got those 2 sides on his head. They kind of flare out like a V, and he's got his big nose. And I thought it was very cute how Ochanomizu and Tenma like squeeze each other's nose for like friendship. That was very sweet.
Their bromance is pretty great.
Yeah.
And like they're entirely conflicting personalities.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the way Motoko is designed, like it's basically almost One Piece levels of like Barbie design.
Yeah.
Except maybe not as busty.
It's one of those insidious things that exists in cartoons for boys where there's not a whole lot of thought, I think, given to female characters a lot of the time. Except for, are they the sister? Are they the girlfriend? Are they the mom? and how do we get them into that archetype. I was personally really annoyed. Like right at the beginning, she's like, "Oh, like nerdy guys like that are so fun to tease," and I'm like, "Who thinks like this?" I don't know. I don't have a single female friend who's like, "I like teasing geeky boys. This is a hobby I enjoy engaging in." It's such a weird like that like thing, and it's clear that she actually kind of likes Uchano Mizu. So like that like I don't know, that kind of implication that she's like, I don't know, just she's gonna use him and lose him doesn't really work, but they kind of wanted her to set her up as that like flirty girl character, I guess.
It's kind of a weird, antiquated way to write a female character.
Yeah, definitely.
That was very popular back in the day, but a little outdated now. I do like how we get to see certain characters from the Osamu Tezuka universe like appear. Like the mustache guy that runs the store.
The V-shaped mustache going down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's known as Hige Oyaji, or Mustache Dude.
The famous Tezuka characters, Mustache Dude, guy with big
Mustache
nose.
Daddy. They all have weird noses.
Was the guy? There was, I forget where he was in the manga, but there was a guy who I thought was supposed to be the Phoenix guy. The recurring character that's like his life is suffering because he was an asshole that one time.
Oh, that he's designed after Ochanomizu.
Is he?
The big ass nose? Yeah.
I thought he was a unique.
It's close to the Ochanomizu design of that big, like, giant bumpy nose.
I did see another guy in here who had like a big nose and he was kind of like more scruffy hair. I forget what part of the story he inhabited, but I was thinking
possibly.
He was that guy.
I might have missed that. I'll be honest, like, I was reading this in English and like it got to a lot of the, Morgana was mentioning the explaining parts, and I was just like, I'm gonna skip this part. I don't need to read all this.
This manga, and I generally like it, but this manga committed the sin of a triple dip, being the least interesting but the most wordy manga of the bunch.
Yes. Yes.
It takes that prize, that unfortunate like poop shaped trophy that we give out during triple dips.
At the end of the year, we have to find the one that was like the most insidious in a triple dip.
Yeah, because like there's not that much going on. There's more going on if you think about like the franchise of Tezuka or Astro Boy. It is fun seeing the different takes on these characters. It's supposed to be a prequel, but in general, it's just like these two goofballs. One of them is arrogant. One of them is a little bit more, sweet and
down to earth.
Yeah, and they have this cool robot friend that they made, and then weird school politicking. Who's going to get funding for which lab? That's kind of all that's happening.
There's a rival robot named Mars that appears at the robot competition at the end. But it's also very clear that that was the robot that was attacking Ochanomizu's sister in the second chapter or whatever. Was that not evident to everybody else?
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
What? Kidding.
I have an Astro Boy question.
Yes.
So in Pluto, you have Adam and Uran. Who made Uran? Was that Ochanomizu?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Astro Boy was made by Dr. Tenma.
Right. Was Uran based off of his sister?
Later in Adam the Beginning, there will be a female robot that will be Six's sister equivalent.
Okay.
Which will be like the Uran equivalent in the series.
Okay, I was just wondering because I knew that Tenma had built Adam based on his son, and I was like, did Ochanomizu make Uran because something happened to his sister Ran? I was like, really? That's
No,
sad.
but like the sister is mentioned in Pluto because remember he has a nephew that gets attacked.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, I guess indirectly.
I similarly, I think about like what's gonna happen to this character, but I think about like actual Six, the robot. It's like he's so kind of important to the characters now, but ain't nobody talking about Six during Astro Boy and shit like that.
I
You know?
know. I'm kind of like there's part of my brain that interpreted him as Adam before he was Adam. You know what I mean? I obviously like Tenma has not had a son who has died yet, but there's definitely part of me that's like, well, this is basically just Adam, just without the skin and hair.
Yeah,
I can only imagine has this manga ended or anything like that?
this is ongoing.
Okay, I'm calling my shot right here. The way this manga ends, time skip, Six no longer works. He's shut down. They had Ochana Mizu and Tenma had the falling out or whatever, and then like Tenma already lost his son, and he's like, I can't get this goddamn robot code to work. I can't get this. Oh wait, what if I use this ancient code from this old thing we did when we were in college? What, it works! Oh my god! And then Six lives on through Astro Boy.
I could totally see that. That totally makes sense.
Of course, because I said it. Okay.
The series is ongoing. There's more fights between other robots. At one point, the professor that made North 2 eventually shows up.
Oh.
You know, the piano playing robot from Pluto, Morgana.
Yeah.
Working
It's like-
on East One when he shows up.
Oh yeah, it's something like that, but it's a robot that has a lot of arms that are like weapons. So very similar in like kind of like the North design. It's a lot of callbacks to classic Astro Boy as the series goes on, with like characters showing up. Do you two have a guess about the at the end of this manga they're doing I forgot, the Robot Coliseum, is that what they called it? I forgot what they called it. Whatever the competition between the robots is. Robot wrestling or whatever. The Mars is like the champion. The invincible god of war comes out and they're like, it's the creator. And Tenma thinks it's his rival Moria Tsutsumi. But instead it's Dr. Lolo. Do you have a prediction about the truth behind Dr. Lolo?
That it's gonna marry Tenma.
No.
Gonna be Astro Boy's mommy.
No.
She's the other guy, the rival guy in disguise.
Yes.
Shocking.
That's very obvious.
Tenma was right the whole time.
He tends to be right with his intuitions, but
Don't-
I like the
don't let him
characterization
don't
of
let him
Tenma
hear
and
that.
Ochana Mizu here. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. He's like, I like Tenma. He's a little bit insufferable.
Yeah. And a little cocky to
Yeah.
match like his future self. But not to the extent where he's like unlikable.
No, actually, even in Pluto, like at first I was like, oh, this asshole, and I was like, I kind of like him actually. Like,
Yeah, he's a deeply broken man in Pluto.
yeah, yeah.
But he has like a little bit of a soul in there. He's the villain in the Astro Boy manga, right? In a lot of it. Like, isn't he?
No,
literally
he
creating
kind of
robots?
shows up. Yeah, I mean, like he doesn't make rival robots, but he does. He is the one who sold Astro to the circus and everything. So
Right.
I watched a little bit of the revival series from like the aughts. There was an anime series of Astro Boy, and it was brought over. It would run on Toonami and Cartoon Network, but I think it tanked. Nobody watched it. Like, Americans don't care about Astro Boy, I guess. And I watched a little bit of it, and I remember there was a story arc. I don't know if this was fabricated for that like revival anime series or not, but basically, Tenma made a robot of himself to surpass himself. Basically, like, I have reached my human limit, and I am going to make a robot. And then that robot was kind of like the villain for a while, because he would like create robots to test Astro Boy or some shit like that. I forget the details. But watching a little bit of that show gave me the impression that Tenma was a villain. So I don't know if that was just the impression I got from watching a few episodes here and there, or if that's actually a thing from that, mid-aughts anime series.
I don't recall that, but I'm not super familiar with Astro Boy. I've read a bunch, but that doesn't sound familiar. Of course, maybe that could have happened.
Anything could have happened.
Anything could happen. So you mentioned anime. There is an anime of Adam the Beginning.
Oh yeah, good as OP.
Yes, Darfox and I always talk about how good that OP is for this show. It's very good. I disliked that anime when it came out because you know how in this first volume we have the beginning that we introduce, the second chapter where the sister gets attacked, and the third chapter they do like side jobs with like Hige Oyaji, and then it jumps into the robot wrestling, which happens for the rest of the volume. When they did the anime, they put out the first 3 episodes, which followed this volume. And then between episodes like 4 and I want to say like 7 or 8, it was filler. It was completely original stuff that wasn't in this volume. And I was so annoyed because I was like, what the fuck? Why are you putting weird filler in when you only have 13 episodes? It was such a strange choice for me to see that. But I guess they only wanted to cover like up to the end of this robot wrestling thing, which happens in like the second volume. But yeah, I feel like I mentioned everything I wanted to about Adam the Beginning. I think my final thoughts about this was this first volume, I thought it was a lot slower and didn't really hit on the parts that I like about this series, which is the story gets a little bit more involved moving on. Too much setup at the beginning and very wordy, like Darfox mentioned. I'm actually kind of surprised we talked about this as much as we did. But hey, we like to talk.
Fucking Tezuka and Astro Boy has a rich history.
It does.
It's hard to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. But it's got the characterization of Ochanomizu and Tenma is great. The design of the robots is very good. 6 looks cool, is cute. Like his personality.
Girls super hot all the way.
Jesus. There's during the robot wrestling, 6 fights again a robot that's operated by like a girl in a bikini for no reason.
Right, like, I know. I was like, what is this?
And the bikini doesn't even fit. If there's so much underboob, I'm like, what is happening?
Well, yeah. Haven't you seen Yoko Littner?
Okay. Right.
It's very I don't know, like Gynax. They're not Gynax anymore, but you know what I mean? Like yeah, like Gurren Lagann or like what was that other one with the pilots and they're all the same. They all got titties.
You know, this apparently this runs in a magazine, like it runs in a magazine called Heroes. And like I can see from the Japanese website and the lineup of like the manga here, it's a lot of throwback to classic like manga getting reboots or like sequels to that. So I feel like the target audience to this is actually not kids, Morgana. It's old otaku.
Right, yeah. Nostalgia.
What did that say about them?
Hence, like the more antiquated female characters, possibly. But yeah, Darfox, anything else to say about Adam the Beginning?
No.
Morgana, your final thoughts?
It's cute. Good robots. The end.
Would either of you be interested in reading more? You can be honest, Morgana, it's fine.
I wouldn't pick it up on my own. I mean, if you guys really wanted to read more, I'd read more with you. I am not, like, dying to do so, though.
I don't feel strongly enough about this to want you to
Yeah.
make this a twiblib either.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't offended by it in any way. You know what I mean? It's almost like it was just fine.
I
It
think
would
it's
almost be
neat.
worse if it was offensive, because then it would be
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
I think it's cool that this exists in English, but also this English edition from Titan, oh boy, that's its own like can of worms. How about you, Dar? Would you read more of this?
Maybe not. I'm interested in it as like a franchise, and just kind of like it's weird. I'm interested in it like for like the weird intellectual property aspects, but like the story itself wasn't that sticky for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, very nice. We will move along from Adam and cover our final manga. We are going to talk about Boy's Abyss, a manga by Ryo Minenami. This manga has been running since 2020 in Young Jump magazine. It's a seinen magazine put out by Shueisha. Ryo Minami did a manga called Himegoto 19 no Seifuku, which is an old ass manga that me and Seamus talked about. Darfox, that's the one about the group of college kids, and there's the main girl keeps having sexual fantasies about being raped.
I do not remember this.
Okay.
If you talked about this, I blocked it out.
Okay, probably for the best.
Very interesting. Going from that to this, or thinking about that and then thinking about this.
They did a shonen like kind of harem manga called Hatsukoi Zombie that ran in like Weekly Sunday Shonen Sunday magazine. I read that entire thing, and that's an okay, like pretty decent romantic comedy series. But Boy's Abyss is the current manga that's ongoing. It's very dark. And yeah, it's put out by Viz in English. Let me get the localization credits real quick. Translation done by John Wary. Touch-up art and lettering, Stephen Dutro. Cover interior design, Cam Lee. Editor, Annette Roman. Let me go ahead and read the copy. Reiji's mother is checked out. He's stuck caring for his grandmother with dementia, and his childhood friend treats him like a lackey. Then beautiful big city pop star Nuggy miraculously shows up working the counter at the local convenience store. Reiji is starstruck when she offers him the ultimate way out of his claustrophobic existence. Will he succumb to temptation? Should we give content warning for this discussion?
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't hurt, but there's a lot of self-harm and suicide talk in this manga.
Yep.
And maybe some dodgy sexual exploits. It's hard to tell from the first chapter or from the first volume of the manga where it's going to go, but there's like older characters involved with younger characters, and a lot of stuff that we don't know the origin or the actual facts about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dar, why don't you give me your thoughts on Boy's Abyss, this first volume we read?
I liked it. This was a manga that I read way too fast to the point where, like, did I fucking miss like half the book? And I think it was, I think it was one of those situations where a manga did a magic trick on me in that the way they used the word bubbles and the way they set up the panels, it was just easy flowing, easy to get through. Even though occasionally the story was really really dark, it was easy to just kind of like go through it. I read it at like dogs speed, and that doesn't happen often for me. I read stuff at like Dark Fox speed. So um, I definitely I definitely feel like this manga isn't for everybody. There's a little bit of echoes of Flowers of Evil in this, in the sense that it's
There it
about
is. It's the
Yes.
Shuzo Oshimi
Mhm.
connection.
yeah, it's young people complaining about life. Now, I will say, the stuff that the character in this book complains about are far more tangible things that the fucking um dirt worm or whatever the fuck they would be called in Flowers of Evil would complain about.
Shitbug.
Shitbug, yeah, they were like, oh man, society though, like, oh, you gotta grow up and be the dope.
Reiji is not a wet noodle character.
No,
No.
like he is fed up because his brother's a shut in. His mom is kind of checked out, but not really. Honestly, mom's not that checked out.
She's exhausted.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. She's like, I think the
You
thing
guys
between
have no idea.
I think
You
the
guys
thing
have
between
no idea.
yeah, the thing between him and his mom's going to be interesting because I totally understand why he feels burnt out. I'm not saying that like his life is easy or anything. There are difficulties in his life. And I think it's a little bit cruel of his mom to kind of like push him so hard to work underneath his friend. Like if she is aware of how this friend is treating him, it's just a little bit cruel. But in general, she's there and she's working and she's part of his life. So like he has tangible problems that are like, even if you can't relate to him directly, I think it's written well enough that you could see his perspective of it and be like, "Oh my god, my life is so bad." Well, yeah, it could be worse, but I understand your dread and your anxiety and the misery you have in your life. You don't feel any joy. Um, I see LA in the chat saying it got darker past Falling 2. Yeah, I bet this is a, like Flowers of Evil. It's a spiraling. It goes down the drain kind of manga. I imagine I'm just gonna shoot across the bow and make a prediction. Um, he's gonna like start becoming shittier and shittier, like maybe replicating the behavior of the the dirtbag character who's the husband of the pop idol. Um, and I definitely think he's gonna make a pass at his like chubby like friend. There's gonna be something like weird and super awkward happening between them. That's just gonna ruin their relationship. I think there's gonna be a lot of like bridges burnt down in this in this manga. um, um, but yeah, in general, I really enjoyed it. I was kind of surprised to see um the sex, which is pretty explicit. Kind of felt like the manga didn't need it. Like I understand why they don't want to shy away from like these young people having sex and maybe show some nudity, but like they kind of just showed you almost all of it, and I was like, okay, like the mood and kind of like the fever and all the stuff that they're going through. It feel like it didn't really need all the explicit sex scene in it. Um,
I think it matches the magazine it's serialized in. Young
Sure.
Jump has like more explicit adult stories, and that is represented through sex and nudity.
and I think that's a shame that that's just a plugin, a plugin put into the series so that it fits a product you're selling. Whereas I feel like the series could have a little bit. I don't want to say integrity because I don't want to sound prudish and like, oh, it has sex, so that means it's cheap. Well, I feel like um the sex stood out as almost something different from everything that's going on to me. But only the first volume, so I don't know where it goes.
Possibly to pull in new readers since it's just starting. But yeah, let's turn to Morgana. What did you think of Boys Abyss?
Hmm. Yeah, it did remind me of Flowers of Evil, and I feel like that says everything you need to know about how I feel about it. No, at first I felt really bad for Reiji. I was really like, oh man, he's got it rough. Like I'm invested in his story. His friend Chaco, she's super cute, and I don't know why he's not already dating her. I don't really get that whole thing because she's great.
Yo, hold on, I'm gonna put her on screen.
She's so cute. I love her so much. She was the best part of this manga. Yeah, as soon as so he met the idol, and I was like, okay, like they have this chance meeting, maybe they're gonna fall in love, and then it just went like, I don't know. I don't care. I was just like, oh, buddy, like you were making 10 million bad decisions, and I like just it's like a train wreck, man. I don't know. I had a hard time when we came to the end of that volume. I was like, yeah, I really like Darfox said. I
Morgana's
feel
like, just jump in the river. End this.
Seriously, no, but you Darfox, you were saying you think he's gonna get like shittier and shittier, and I'm like, yeah, I feel that. Like, and I think yeah, he's got a really bad, bad situation, and things are really hard for him. But I also think that like, and I don't think it's wrong of him to be frustrated, to be angry with his family, his grandmother, his brother. Like, there's a lot that's being put on him that he shouldn't have to deal with at his age. But there's also the part of me that's like, you need to have these conversations with these people, not like fling yourself off a cliff. And I get like he's a teenager. He's not thinking that way. It's just I don't really have a whole lot of sympathy if he's just going to let himself get walked all over again and again. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he's trying to do the right thing, but also he's so angry that he's like, it's almost like he's inflicting a lot of it on himself. And I just was like, I don't know, man. Like,
Morgana's very perceptive.
Yeah. Oh, am I?
Yes.
Well, what are you saying?
I'll get into that later, but in general, I will say this is a story where everybody has skeletons. Everyone has skeletons in their closet, every character. And also, every character is awful and taking advantage of some other character. Everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah,
you should have told Seamus that. He would be so in.
No, this is the manga that Seamus read the whole thing. It was like this was all right. This is the one that like he might have commented on, but the other two were strong enough where he was like, I'm gonna be out this week.
This does feel like a Seamus book.
We can ask him about it next week.
Even as I was reading it, I was like, oh, I bet he's into this one. The teenagers are sad and trying to kill themselves, so he must be happy.
Before I possibly talk about some things that are spoilers, which connect more with how I feel about this series, because this runs in Young Jump magazine, and I read Young Jump, so I've read this ever since it started. I've been keeping up with every chapter. What do you think about Ryo Minenami's artwork?
It feels a little inconsistent. For the most part, I like it, but there were some panels where I was like, why does everything look so like, I don't know, was it bare? Maybe like stuff was missing. I feel like mostly it's pretty good, but there are definitely situations where I was like, huh, this feels kind of weird.
I call it Walmart Asano Inia when I get canceled.
No, it's so true.
It has like the backgrounds that are like very detailed, but also not to like the really freakish level of like Asano Inyo. It has like
Great value brand Asano Inyo.
It has like the cuteness in the girls sometimes. I don't know. I kind of identify similar to that. I don't know if Dagasu agrees or not.
I'm sorry, I was looking something up. What'd you say? I legit just totally missed that. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It reminds me of Asano Inyo, but like not as good or detailed.
Oh, the artwork?
Yeah.
The thing about Asano Inyo is that's always about his backgrounds, right? You know,
Yes.
how they're taken from like digital photos and kind of like course corrected. This feels more like I can see some of the backgrounds being like that, but like kind of not quite up to Asano Inyo's style. I think it's more with it's the characters' faces. There's so many close-ups of either Reiji or the idol girl as well. You know, a lot of close-ups on those and the expressions that they have. It's unfortunate you don't get to some of the twisted dark faces that will be coming up later in the story. To get to see some more range of like the art. You've got that 2-page spread at Dark Fox's location 199 at the end of this volume. Where the idol girl is talking about how they don't have a reason to live. I like that panel very much. Like the way the raindrops are drawn as these white streaks across the panel. And then also Reiji's face on like the opposite panel there. Very striking. Or like in general, some of like the shots here of like them in the rain. Like it's like the way they draw that rain, I feel like that's very striking. As those like white lines. Looks good. I now realize I did not answer your question at all. I don't know, Dar. I don't know.
Well, if you don't know, then nobody knows.
Yeah.
I kind of want to hear what the fuck is up with this book and crazy characters.
Okay, so I can either just go into full spoilers or I can be very general. I kind of think I might need to go general.
By full spoilers, do you mean spoiling stuff that's not been translated yet as well? Because maybe we should hold off on that. So general.
The second volume of this is out.
Right.
The third volume is coming up in October. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can be very general about this. I'm trying to think of how I can explain this without spoiling it. Like I mentioned, every character you see in this first volume has skeletons in their closet, and they're gonna start doing like terrible things, and bad things are gonna happen all around. And it's like bad, and it's even more intertwined with like certain characters' like backstory. There was a very extended flashback sequence about characters that were much younger. I won't mention who they are. I think Darfox would like that.
Just a couple guesses.
Yeah. I'm sure you can make some guesses. In general, I thought this story was engaging. Like, I rather enjoyed most of what was happening, even though everything was awful. Like Morgana predicted. And lots of bad decisions were being made. There's something that fairly recently happened in like the newest chapters in Japanese that I was very disappointed by.
In the sense that like it just seemed like a bad thing for the characters, or it just seemed like bad storytelling.
I'm trying to think of if I can say this without it. I'm gonna make a reference that I think Darfox will recognize and possibly Morgana will recognize. but you have to know the reference to like understand.
Okay.
Uh,
Where Guan Yu picks the motherfucker up and cuts him up with his glaive.
no. They pull a sleepaway camp
Oh no!
at one point.
Oh no! Wait, hold on. I'm trying to process this. What does that mean?
I guess that's too vague.
I don't know the reference, but I'm afraid.
Okay,
well, we could explain Sleepaway Camp, and we could just leave it at that.
Go ahead, Dar.
Oh Jesus. Okay, I actually have not seen Sleepaway Camp. I've seen the ending, and I know the premise. And okay, content warning for extremely like transphobic stuff.
Oh dear.
Sleepaway Camp is a slasher movie. I assume it's after Friday the 13th, because it's a camp counselor is getting killed off at like a summer camp
It
kind
is.
of thing.
This Sleepaway Camp came out in 1983. Friday the 13th was 1980.
So it turned out at the end of the movie, the killer was just one of the girls, and the reason why she was the killer is because she was actually a boy who was forced to dress like a girl his whole life by like his crazy aunt or something.
It's because the sister died and the brother lived.
Mm-hmm.
So it's used as very transphobic ammunition. It's like, this is what being trans does to you. It fucks your brain up because you
right.
And it's a very iconic ending, and by iconic I mean more like infamous ending, where they have they're naked, so you see their penis and everything. I think they're holding a knife, and they just have their mouth open in this weird gleeful guttural like I don't know how to describe it. It's like they're just in the bliss of being naked and murderous, and everybody's like, like a big group of people are watching them and are just like in horror reacting at what they're seeing. So if this goes anywhere near Sleepaway Camp,
I think I've put some puzzle pieces together as to what happens next, but maybe not. So sounds
maybe
terrible.
we don't mention this in our recording and on air, but you can confirm with me after we're done about what you think might happen.
Well, anyway, it sounds terrible, and
Dakazu saying sleep. I don't know what he was gonna mention. He said Sleepaway Camp, and it's like he slapped me with like a big fish or something. He just swung like full swung a fish and hit me in the face, and I was like, what?
Yeah, you didn't expect that. I didn't expect that either. When something like that comes up, and I was like, really? We're gonna do something like that? And I was just so disappointed in this series when that happened. And it's kind of colored my thoughts about this book since that happened. Things are still ongoing and things are still happening. But the fact that that was something that happened it's been upsetting.
Hey, Dakazu, you're not supposed to do this. In the beginning, I said I really liked the manga. Then afterwards, you reveal all this bad information about them, making me look bad. Okay.
I don't want people to get into this and then
invest.
that hits you like way down the line, you know? I'm so Dar, when you were asking me that question about Asano Inyo and I said I was busy, it's because at the end of this book there's a little bio blurb about Ro Minenami, and they refer to the manga artist with male pronouns, like he and his. And I'm pretty sure I had read that they were a female creator, and now I can't get confirmation in Japanese. Like, I guess that's what it's on the Wikipedia, Japanese Wikipedia, but you can't trust Wikipedia either. So and who knows? I have no idea. There's not a lot of publicly known things about this manga artist. But they also made a manga way in the past that had a lot of kind of messy themes around sexual identity.
That's what Ella literally just posted in the chat. To read their past work, I see that coming, sort of. So,
I don't remember it being handled in the best way either with that previous manga series, though. There are themes. There are themes that they've used before, but whether it's done well or not, that is like, I don't know. And I feel like what happened here, like as soon as it happened, I was just like immediately like checked out. You get me? So I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts about Boys Abyss. Sorry to bring us all down.
Very interesting.
Yeah, Manga Updates says that the creator is female, but this is also not infallible resource.
Yeah, maybe they requested the use of male pronouns for this English edition. I don't know.
But it's also interesting in general because manga creators have and can be like anonymous, like completely anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that there's one way or the other, that's kind of confusing. Whatever. Not a here or there, I guess.
Yeah. But would it give us a little bit more context, knowing their background? It could.
Good, but the author is dead, I guess, and the text is what matters the most.
Yeah.
Text seems very messy. I was ready for the messy. I was like, yeah, I could see this.
I mean, the messy is not bad. It's like I said, it's a terrible story about terrible people with lots of like fucked up trauma. And that's fine. You can have that in fiction. Obviously. Seamus likes that. But yeah. Pulling a sleepaway camp type of thing is not great. So sorry about that. Maybe I'll spoiler tag this part in our show notes.
Maybe.
But yeah, I mean, we've been podcasting for a long time, so we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, damn.
Morgana, do you have any more thoughts about Boys Abyss?
I'm tired of unlikable characters.
No thoughts, just misery.
So tired.
This is not a Morgana book.
No, entirely not a Morgana book. I'm sorry. I know Tyler likes this one. I don't know. I was just thinking like last week, like I don't think I really read anything this year that I hated. This might be the one. I didn't, and I don't even know that I could say I hated it. I was just kind of like, I don't know. It made me sad in like a, not because the book was sad, but because I was sad I had to read it.
So not another volume of this from Morgana for sure.
No, but I am morbidly curious about what happens. So I might want spoilers.
Let's wrap this up so we can fucking talk.
I might tell Morgana and Darfox off the air everything, and then they can be like, "What?" So, Dar, you did like this. You read this super fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry.
I mean, I haven't read it myself. Maybe I like it. Going out the first volume, it was pretty good.
And you'd be interested in looking at a second volume?
Yeah.
We'll have to ask Seamus what he thinks next week.
Even if it's in my own time.
All right. Well, that'll be the end of going over Boys Abyss. We've talked about all three manga here.
Or like Boys a Piss.
Now we rank these. And I think the summer Hikaru died is the clear winner, and then we should just move on.
Yeah, I mean, we all feel that way, right? Like,
okay, Morgana, do you put Adam ahead of Boy the Abyss?
yes.
It's like lukewarm mediocrity over like
Yeah.
cringe. Is it?
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. Yeah, you know what it is? Because Adam, in some ways it's like like everything else in the Tezuka legacy at this point is a cash grab. But it's cute and it's fun and it's kind of wholesome. And I like that exists. And I'm happy that it's in English too. I'm glad that it's available. This Boys Abyss is just, yeah. I'm done with Shuzo Oshimi. I'm done with Inyo Asano, and I think this is too close to both of those things for me that I just can't. I can't handle it.
Yep, I didn't even think about the connection to Shuzo Oshimi stuff, but
Oh yeah,
it's
immediately
right
I was
in
like,
that wheelhouse.
yeah, I was like, oh, this is fucking Flowers of Evil again. And and as I said when we read Flowers of Evil, I hated it, but I'm kind of glad you made me read it because I can appreciate it from kind of an intellectual point of view.
standpoint.
Yeah, like exactly. But that doesn't mean I want to read more of that bullshit.
Yeah.
Dar, what's your rankings?
I guess it's Hikaru, Boy the Abyss, Adam.
All right. Okay, we've been going way too long tonight, so we need to wrap up. I want to thank Darfox and Morgana for joining me this week. Reminder, next week is the start of October Extravaganza. We'll be reading Be Very Afraid of Kanako Inuki. Look forward to that next week. Make sure you subscribe to us, review us, and rate us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you can find us. Check out our website, mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/mangamactv. Join our Discord server, discord.me/mangamac. We're still doing Monday Mahjong Machinations, so come join us every Monday. Play Riichi Mahjong with us. Lightning Ball just showed up in the chat. He's like, I'm here for the podcast, guys. I'm ready. Great. Our website. Wait, did I say our website already? I did.
MangaMachinations.com.
I'm losing it. Send us emails, mangamachinations@gmail.com. Follow us on Tumblr at MangaMac Podcast. That's Manga MEC Podcast. That's also for Blue Sky and for Threads and for Instagram. If you want to help us, buy some coffee. ko-fi.com/mangamactv/mangamac. You can follow my personal Twitter at DocZoo, follow Darfox at DarfoxA, and follow Morgana at Morgana Relina. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to us this week. Good night. I'm tired.
Peace.